I'm Quinn, and I'm 21, and I go to UVA, which is a little unusual for the crowd here. But November 4th, my roommate woke up at 6 a.m. to go vote at Alumni Hall. College students usually don't wake up at 6 a.m. for anything. So I think you can pretty much imagine the excitement and enthusiasm that November 4th garnered for us college kids. And talking to Kristin, she's really excited to bring that energy to the local level, to city council as well. Because, as you know, UVA isn't so great about coming out of its shell past Rugby Road and past the corner. But I think in the next 4 years, given that we've been able to vote and increase our participation so far, that we're going to be able to increase the civic engagement for UVA students who are youth, who are usually underrepresented in politics, but are really excited and fired up and ready to go. Thank you.
We have been married for over 24 years, and through that journey, together have seen the adoption systems. We've raised foster daughters. We've navigated through the Charlottesville City Schools, and in particular through the special education system. Kristin was president of the Burnley Moran PTO and has worked for a variety of nonprofits. When she says 75% of the people in Charlottesville are doing just fine, she means that. But she also understands what it's like for the other 25%, because we've been in the thick of things, and she has tried her best to figure out how to work for real solutions to real people's problems. The other thing that Kristin brings to the mix here in City Council is that she was very active in the Obama campaign. She sat in Denver and helped to nominate Barack Obama as the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. And just a month ago, found herself in the White House with President Obama at a town hall meeting. And hopefully some of those connections she will be able to bring to solve the problems that we face here in Charlottesville. Without any further ado, I want to introduce to you my wife and a city council candidate, Kristin Szakos.
So I've had a very rich and wonderful life here. My kids have played sports in the city leagues, and my husband plays softball in the city park. My dog and I walk on the Greenbelt Trail a lot. But I recognize that for a lot of people in this city, it's not a wonderful place to live. We have neighborhoods where parents can't be sure of their children's safety. We have men and women, many of whom have jobs that don't pay a living wage, who are living in our area shelters or on the streets or in local churches. We have workers who don't have cars, who can't get to their jobs on time because the buses only run once an hour, and many parts of our community aren't served by buses. Our Charlottesville schools have one of the highest achievement gaps in the state, and we have a dropout rate that's been rising steadily for the past few years. It's unacceptable, but we have the resources to fix it. We need to recognize that school achievement is affected by more than school policy, and underachievement begins long before preschool. Jobs, quality affordable housing, workforce development, adult education, neighborhood safety, all of these things affect the lives of the children in our community. And if we want all of our children to succeed, we have to aim all of our efforts at making sure that our community is a place that nurtures them and raises them to succeed. Or if we don't do it, we're going to continue to spend more and more money on things like juvenile detention and jails, foster care, drug treatment, and public housing. But we also need to talk about why, in a city as wealthy, as prosperous, as progressive, and as well-meaning as Charlottesville, these sorts of inequalities continue to exist. Because they don't just exist a little bit, they exist a lot. We have huge, huge gaps in our city, people who never talk to one another, communities as if we were on separate planets. We need to recognize that there's still racism in our community, and we need to work to root it out. We need to speak out about class inequality in a town as seemingly as progressive as ours, and we need to work to change it. Because we can do better. We have the resources in this community that can be brought to bear on these issues. And I don't just mean experts at the University of Virginia or all the wonderful professionals we have who live here, although I do mean them. I was at a house meeting a couple weeks ago at Midway Manor, and there was a group mixed in race and age, generally low-income folks who live in Midway Manor. And I was asking them about what they thought about city issues, and they had some really good, concrete ideas for specific city initiatives that would make their lives better. But no one in City Hall ever listens to them. We need to increase the involvement of ordinary people in the issues that affect their lives. In my campaign, I've been working very hard to get people involved who never participated in city elections before. As a city councilor, I'll work to continue to get people involved in making their voices heard by city council. I'm sure you've heard that I've proposed to move city council meetings around the city to schools and community centers. I think we should serve pizza at at city council meetings so that people don't have to run home, cook dinner, and then get back to a meeting. I think we need to have childcare so people can come with their kids. We need to make sure that that philosophy is reflected in city staff as well. The recent study that was done on our city, its effectiveness and its efficiency, found that our responsiveness is not as good as it should be. That people come to the City Hall and with their questions, complaints, and suggestions, and often they're not followed up or people don't get back to them. We need to make sure that every project that the city has hires local workers for its projects. And our city staff needs to do more than just check with local neighborhood association chairs when making decisions. We need to work on leadership development in our neighborhoods to make sure that people are participating in the processes and can participate in the decisions that affect their lives. We have to demand that staff be creative and proactive, working with council to develop innovative strategies for addressing long-standing issues that face our community. And council needs to hold staff accountable for carrying them out. I think we can do a better job of spending our tax money on things we need and saving money where we can. I was the statewide director of the National Day of Service on Inauguration Day in January, and we had 2,000 people participating in projects in Charlottesville, and most of them said they'd love to do it again. We can involve that volunteer spirit in city issues. We can conserve electricity. We can convert some of our energy used to rooftop solar and wind turbines. We can conserve water more. We can find ways to cooperate with the University of Virginia in Albemarle County to achieve economics of scale. Our city and county have been divided over infrastructure issues for years, and I hope to continue to work to find ways that we can work together rather than oppose one another. I think we need to be careful, though, that the burden for tomorrow's solutions don't fall disproportionately on today's residents. Over the past 25 years, Republican administrations largely, both at the national level and at the state level, have gutted our state infrastructure budgets and our national infrastructure budgets. Cuts in the car tax, wars abroad that we shouldn't have been fought, cuts of taxes to the wealthiest Americans have meant that there's fewer and fewer dollars available for localities to maintain and build infrastructure, things like roads, water systems, sewer systems. And so we end up fighting with one another. We end up having situations where, because we have traffic problems in here, the city ends up paying for that by having roads come through our city rather than be able to raise money for bypasses around the city. We need to work on ways that we can get adequate water systems and a good water plan without meaning exorbitant water rates for city residents. I think that we all know that Charlottesville and Albemarle County are in many ways one community. Most of us who live in Charlottesville shop, go through Albemarle County. We enjoy Albemarle County. People who live there often work in the city. And we need to make sure that the things that bind us together are stronger than the things that drive us apart. I think we can do better in economic development. With my connections in the Obama administration, which are actually quite considerable now, they're growing, and with Representative Tom Perriello, I'm hoping that we can bring more money into the city, more innovative green jobs initiatives that are coming from Washington. I think that they're very well suited to an economy like ours that's based on entrepreneurial, small, local-owned businesses. But many of our local businesses have employees who can't even afford to live here. We need to work on affordable housing. I know that Mayor Dave Norris is planning to re-sponsor an initiative to have an affordable housing trust fund, and I would fully support that and other initiatives to have affordable housing in the city.
This is a document from Kendall Hamilton, who is endorsing Kristin for this position. And just in closing, she says, "When I think of who I want at the table with the Board of Supervisors and the Chamber explaining the views and defending the values of the citizens of Charlottesville, it's Kristin. When I think of the skill set that's going to be needed to manage the change that's coming, I think of Kristin. And I'm sharing with you my hope that you'll think of Kristin Szakos, too, on May the 9th. Thank you."